What's up, weirdos? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button, especially if you like horror movies and things like that. So if you follow my channel, you might have noticed I missed 2 upload days this week. I'm so sorry. I was upstate with my boyfriend and my dog, having a grand old time, and I didn't upload, but I have a bunch of videos coming. If you don't already know, this month I am only covering movies that were either written and or directed by women, which is really exciting. So let's go ahead and get back on track here, and today we are talking about Ginger Snaps. Ah yes, the teenage girl werewolf classic. Before we get started, I do want to say this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not giving away too much in this review, but I am going to talk about some scenes throughout, so if you want to be a full surprise, watch the movie first. If you don't mind, well, just keep watching. Ginger Snaps is a Canadian horror film that came out in the year 2000. It was written by Karen Walton and directed by John Fawcett. It stars Catherine Isabelle as Ginger, who, yes, we did just review American Mary, which also stars her. She's great. I'll link that review down below. And it also stars Emily Perkins, who plays her sister, Bridget. So this movie is about 2 sisters. They are best friends. They are linked forever. They are obsessed with death in really fun ways I'll talk about later. And they basically have a death pact that says like they're both gonna die by 16. Dark. They're both late bloomers, and Ginger, when she's 16, she finally gets her period, and she also gets bit by a werewolf. Spoiler. Changes. So let's talk about what I loved. First of all, the script. I thought Karen Walton did such an amazing job perfectly capturing that thing about your teenage years where it's like everything is super important, like life or death, and also nothing really matters before you're 18. Do you know what I mean? There's a quick quote I do want to give you guys. So Ginger says, "I said I'd die for you." And then Bridget says, "No, you said you'd die with me because you had nothing better to do." And I was like, that is the most teenage thing I've ever heard, where it's like you are gonna die for each other, but also it's only because you live in this town and have nothing else going on. Do you know what I mean? When I was a teenager, this was fully me, by the way, fully me. The second thing I love is the connection they have between Ginger's getting her period and becoming a werewolf. It's funny because Ginger basically gets her period and says, "I just got the curse," and then very shortly after gets attacked. And then you have this great thing where girls get their period every month, and then werewolves have to change every full moon. You know what I'm saying? I think they did some really smart things with this. For example, there's a scene where Ginger is like cutting her own tail off, and it's like very raw and emotional, and it makes so much sense to me because I was like, right, so you're a teenager, you're going through puberty, you're starting to hate your body for the first time because you don't have any idea what's going on, and that scene for me was like such a amazing representation of like a teenage girl, but it's just like her cutting off her tail. Do you know what I mean? And overall, I think they just handled the teenage girl stuff so well. Like, for example, they have the scene where the teacher is like explaining periods to the girls, and it is just the most brutal, terrible conversation. She makes it sound like it is the most horrible thing in the world, and they just want to like get out of the office. They also talk about teenage sex and how guys and girls are viewed and judged extremely differently. I'm gonna read you another quote, but basically after Ginger has kind of a bad sexual experience with this guy, she says, "It doesn't work like that. He got laid. I'm just a lay. He's a hero and I'm a lay. A freak, a mutant lay." And it's like, whoa. So obviously that is truly awful, and it makes me like sick to hear it, but like that is like what's going on, right? Like, there's not really a male equivalent of the word slut. It's like men and women are seen so differently in these situations, and I think especially for teenagers. The only things that aren't that great, one is the practical effects. I actually really wish they had shown the werewolf less, because I was sort of taken out of the scene whenever it was there, because I was like, oh, it doesn't look that good. But I feel like if they had showed it less, I would have been like, I would have still been in the fear of it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, not super great. Also, the acting, I will say, like, isn't incredible, but it also like works for the movie, if that makes sense. Like, some of the acting, I'm just kind of like, this is like generally fine. Like, it's not amazing, but there's something about those 2 girls being cast in those roles is like so right. Now let's get to some ratings. So the scare, I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't find it an extremely scary movie. It's more just like, you know, spooky fantasy with some horror elements into it. The gore gets a 3. There's some fun gore in there, but definitely nothing that you cannot handle. The cheese gets a 3, and really only because the practical effects aren't that great and because some of the acting is not superb. But overall, I give it a 4 because I love Ginger Snaps. I think it's an amazing movie. Rewatching it now, I was like so in it the whole time. I was just like, yes, like every single scene I was so excited. I'll also say it has some of the best opening credits I've ever seen in my life. So in terms of the girls being really obsessed with death, they are basically taking all these photos of themselves like in staged death scenes of many different ways to die, and it is so dark and also funny and also like cool, and they like show it to their class and like the teacher's like, oh my god. It's great. So that's it. If you guys like Ginger Snaps, let me know down below. Let me know if you also like some of the sequels. I might review those at some point, I'm not sure. But yeah, I am so glad to be back on here with you guys and hanging out. I missed you, and I will see you in the next one. Have a nice screen. Bye.